Welcome everybody, Film Fan 108 here to my Blu-ray pickup video for November of 2019. Better late than never. I know you guys have been anxiously anticipating these pickup videos, and I've been slowly trying to catch up a little bit, but I am finally starting to breathe a little bit and start to catch myself up. So the pickup videos will start coming out a little more sooner. I do apologize, but like I said, I'm glad to at least get these ones out as when I'm able to get them out, guys. And speaking of which, let's get to the pickups, guys. And for November, well, quite a bit of goodness that I got for the month of November, guys. Maybe not as much as October, but still very much worth it and a great month for media. So let's get into it, shall we, with the first title that I picked up for the month, and that is none other than 11 Days and 11 Nights right here from 88 Films. And look at that really great cover, man. That is one really sexy, erotic, sleazy cover, man. Definitely, man. And on the inside, the art on there, which is even more sexy and erotic and naughty as well. Yeah, you can tell what kind of movie this one is, guys. And before I get into this, I do want to say that this and the second title that I picked up for the month both came from 88 Films, and they came from a Kickstarter campaign that I ended up doing and contributing for. Basically, 88 Films didn't quite have enough money for the restorations and the features that they wanted to do for these two titles, and they asked sort of their fans to contribute, and I was more interested in the second title than I was this one, but they came in sort of a bundle package, and I still wanted to give the money to 88 Films because they do a lot of really good work sometimes, so I wanted to sort of contribute to them, and I think it was well worth it. And as far as this title, well, this title is directed by Joe D'Amato. Now, Joe D'Amato has done a lot of really interesting, sleazy movies in the past, and this is another one of them. Basically, it's about this guy who rides this ferry. He's sort of a business guy, has sort of a regular, mundane life, is about to get married soon, and he meets this woman on the ferry, and he meets her, and one day she just opens up her coat, and she is completely and utterly naked, and I mean naked, like no bra, no panties, nothing. She is just bearing it all, and they have sex on the ferry, and he is so fascinated by her and just wants more of her, and she's willing to give it to him, and she basically says, well, I want you to be with me, and he's like, well, I get married in 11 days. And she's like, well, then we have 11 days and 11 nights to be together. And thus the title. And he just sort of dives into this world of sex and lust and, her manipulating his life and him just cannot control himself around her. And just everything sort of spins out of control from there. It's a really fascinating movie, man. It really honestly is. And, watching this movie, I can't quite blame the guy for doing what he did. Because let's be honest, I don't care whether you're single, I don't care whether you have a girlfriend or whether you're married. I don't care, man. If you see this woman bearing it all, you're gonna go for it. Don't dare tell me that you guys are not gonna go for it, because you will do it. Trust me, this woman is absolutely gorgeous. She's stunning. She's beautiful. You just want her. You just want to be around her. She's alluring. You really want it. And I think Joe D'Amato did a great job with this. I think the actors did a great job here portraying the eroticism, portraying the sexiness, just diving into just not controlling yourself. We talk about movies like 50 Shades of Grey. And 50 Shades of Grey is supposed to be this really great, erotic, and emotional movie, and it's supposed to be very sexy. But I don't really see it in that movie, man. I see it in something like 11 Days and 11 Nights. For some reason, this one really does the sexy, erotic, sort of naughty stuff better than something like 50 Shades of Grey does. And I think the reason why is this is This is Italian, this is Euro sleaze. And I think back in the day, you could just do it better. I don't know whether it was less PC back then and they just didn't care, or they just weren't bound to as many rules as what major studios are now. But I just thought they really pulled it off in a big bad way, guys. I thought it was really phenomenal, really wonderful. I mean, there's a lot of nudity and a lot of sex here, so if you're not comfortable with it, this is not the movie for you. But I have a lot of weird and oddball movies in the collection, so this is one of many, but it's one that I definitely am going to be revisiting more. I wasn't expecting much out of this movie, and this is one out of the two that I wasn't really wanting, but I'm really glad I got it, man. I'm really shocked by this one. I'm surprised I liked it as much as I did, man. This is one definitely worth checking out. Honestly, it really is. And I thought 88 Films did a really good job here. I thought the picture quality was pretty decent. You also get here, you get an audio commentary by genre expert Troy Howarth. You get an interview with the composer, interview with some of the actors, Italian opening and closing credits, also trailers as well. Some really cool features here, man. But the movie itself is really interesting. And if you're a fan of Joe D'Amato, definitely check it out. If you're a fan of Euro Sleaze, definitely give it a look, guys. I was pleasantly surprised by this one, and it definitely beats 50 Shades of Grey by a damn long shot, for sure, guys. Definitely one that I'll pick over 50 Shades of Grey any day of the week, man. Definitely give it a look, man. 11 days, 11 nights. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is the second from the 88 Films Kickstarter campaign, and it's a Lucho Full Chi film. Now, if you guys have been keeping up with the Blu-ray pickup videos for a long time, you guys know that I have been a huge fan of Lucho Full Chi for a long time, and I am on the hunt to get all of the Lucho Full Chi titles. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm slowly getting more and more titles, and this is another one for the Full Chi collection for sure. And that is none other than Beatrice Cenci right here, with this really great slipcover right there, not bad. And on the inside there, the other artwork, not bad at all. Very beautiful woman on that cover. And this movie is one of the really early Fulci films. And I mean really early, man. And I think this was one of the first he ever really directed, like big theatrical movies he directed, I believe it was. And this movie is basically about this family and sort of how they had defied the church, and it's all based on a true story of sort of that that they were sort of beheaded for their beliefs and that they were going against the church, and it's a very religious, it's a religious erotic sort of horror film in a lot of ways. It's a true story about this family in, I believe it was like the it was like the 1500s or something like that, and basically they are going against the Catholic Church, and now that they're going against the Catholic Church and their beliefs and sort of what they're doing sexually, that the church does not exactly approve of this, and that they are basically sinners against God, and they are going to be beheaded because of that, because they're going against the church, and the whole complications of that, and the whole struggle that the community was dealing with this whole issue that was going on. It's a very interesting movie. It's kind of really fascinating because with Fulci, we look at some of the popular ones, like A House by the Cemetery, like A Zombie, stuff like that, and those are the more popular ones, and these are more of the lesser well-known ones. And I always like the more lesser well-known Fulci, and the reason why I do is because they're not talked about as much. You don't really get to hear much about these movies. And I think it's nice to see these getting some love, even though they're not as high profile. I think people see the Fulci name. I think people want to sort of check it out. I definitely did. I really liked it. I thought the performances were really good. Even though it's a story about the Catholic Church and the sexual eroticism, you still get some nudity here. You get some really good blood and gore at times as well. Fulci, you can definitely see the blood and gore of younger Fulci definitely being the stuff that dived into the older Fulci stuff when he went into more of the horror territory, like zombie and stuff like that. It's a unique movie. I really did enjoy it. It's a little bit on the slower side. The subject matter with the church and everything is not something I'm automatically sort of gravitating to most of the time, but because it's Fulci, I sort of give it a break. But I really enjoyed it, man. I thought it was a pretty cool, interesting movie. If I had to pick between the two 88 films ones, I probably enjoyed this one better. But because this is Fulci, I definitely wanted this one, and I'm damn glad I did. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think a lot of you Fulci enthusiasts have this in your collection. I'm pretty goddamn sure most of you don't. And that's another reason why, because I'm like, okay, this is a Fulci one that I don't think many people are really knowing about or really care to pick up, but because I'm trying to get a lot of Fulci here and trying to get most of Fulci's titles, I definitely wanted to grab this one, and I'm damn glad I did, man. And I thought 88 Films did a really good job here, man. You have audio commentary by Troy Howarth. You have interview with one of the actors, another interview with an author who has profiled Fulci quite a bit. You also have some trailers as well. Not bad release here, man. Like I said, this was sort of an 88 Films Kickstarter that I wanted to get. I wanted to do not only for Fulci, but just for these unknown titles that I don't think many people really know about. So I wanted to get in on it with the slipcovers and with the special editions, and I'm really glad I did, man. Another one to have the Fulci collection. Not half bad, guys. Damn glad I ended up doing the Kickstarter for it. I'm not complaining one bit, guys. If you're interested in more Fulci, definitely give this one a look. It's on the slower side and not one of Fulci's best, but it's definitely a fascinating one for sure, guys. Check it out. Beatrice Sensi. And the next pickup that I got, guys, is a Shout Factory release, and it's one that I've never had in the collection, but I really love these type of movies so much, man. And that is Private School. Yeah, I love that cover, man. What a great goddamn cover, man. You know, okay, I love these sort of teen sex comedies. And if you've been keeping up with the pickups for a long time, you know that I picked up other ones that are similar to Private School. I just love teen sex comedies. And I love teen sex comedies from back in the day. Because I'm not saying that you can't make teen sex comedies now. You can. There's stuff that gets made now. The problem is that we live in such a PC world now. We live in such a politically correct world that unfortunately movies like Private School and other ones like it really can't be made anymore. They just can't. I mean, it was really funny because my friend John and I were watching this movie together. We were just looking at certain scenes and we were just laughing our ass off. And because we just know how funny this movie is and how just really enjoyable and just ridiculous the film is. But we thought to ourselves, man, there are so much about this movie that is so wrong nowadays that no studio in their right mind would ever want to release a movie like this. Nobody would even want to see this movie. I mean, well, that's not true. I think a lot of people would want to see this movie, but I think there would be a lot of groups out there who would protest this movie, who would be like, this movie is terrible, we don't approve of this. You would get a lot of people going after this movie. And it's a real shame because, again, I mean, movies like this, you know, I think they speak to a certain demographic and they're just not being serviced as well as they used to, man. I mean, movies like Porky's, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, oh, God, even Animal House and stuff like that. I mean, these movies just aren't being made anymore the way they used to be. I mean, The Last American Virgin, there's so many of them, man. And put Private School right there, dude. And Private School is just great about these bunch of guys who, just want to get laid, man. They just want to get laid, and they're having the difficulties of getting laid, and the girls are kind of being naughty and teasing them, and it's sort of these guys' journeys of trying to get laid, but it's also about this really great young couple that love each other, and sort of want to go all the way, but they're sort of being pressured into it, but they don't want to lose each other, so there's sort of a romance aspect to it as well. I think this is great, man. I think Matthew Modine is awesome here, a very young Matthew Modine. He's great here. Phoebe Cates, Dude, Phoebe Cates, man. I mean, back in the 80s, Phoebe Cates was queen. I mean, along with Molly Ringwald, Phoebe Cates was the babe. You know, I mean, you look at Fast Times at Ridgemont High or this and other movies that she did, and you're like, you just fell in love with Phoebe Cates, man. You honestly did. And this is one of those titles, man. She's great in here. Oh man, I also got to give a big shout out to Betsy Russell here. Now, Betsy Russell, the one scene, and I think all of you guys who have seen this movie, I think the one scene that really stands out to you guys is the horseback riding scene. I won't say anything else out of that if you guys have never seen it, but the horseback riding scene, especially when I was younger and I watched this movie for the first time, I was like, oh my god, oh, oh. Wow. I just was like, whoa. I was really shocked by this one, guys. In a good way. But Betsy Russell, man, what a sweetheart, man. And really went for it in a big bad way in this movie. It's laugh out loud funny. It's got its really great comedic moments, man. A heartfelt romance tale. Great acting. Yeah, dude. It's a great movie, dude. Highly recommended, man. I thought Shout Factory did a really good job here, man. I mean, you get new interviews with actor Matthew Modine and Betsy Russell. You get a new audio commentary with actor Michael Zorich, a new audio commentary with teen movie hell author and television writer. You get the VHS version of Private School, which, by the way, I looked at the VHS version of Private School, and I was absolutely shocked by that, man. I haven't watched VHS in a really long time, and sometimes I forget the kind of quality VHS was because they have the VHS version on here, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, that's what we used to actually see on the VHS versions. Oh my god, I'm so happy for Blu-ray, dude. Like, oh my god, man, what a blast from the past that VHS version was. Trailers, radio spots, image gallery, but really great features, man. Shout Factory did a really great job here, and just what a really great teen sex comedy, dude. Like I said, man, I gravitate towards the ones from the 80s and the 90s, but I have to admit, man, I mean, there's certain ones nowadays that have come out that I've really liked, but nothing can ever really beat Private School, man. Private School is so good, dude, and I just love it so goddamn much. So for me, I highly recommend Private School, dude. I highly recommend a lot of the 80s sex comedy. So, but I was sort of grown up in that time where you could make these movies and no one's shouting off the rooftops and getting mad. Everyone's just having a good time, dude. And this is one of those ones where I'm damn glad to finally have in the collection, guys. So, very happy for this one for sure, man. Private School, definitely check it out, guys. Then the next title I picked up is another Lucho Full Chi title. Yes, not one Lucho Full Chi this time, but two. And this one comes from Code Red, and that is Conquest right here with that really great slipcover, man. Really nice slipcover. And on the inside, you also get this artwork as well. Really cool, sort of like, fantasy cover there. Really nice, man. And I had never heard of Conquest, just like I had never heard of Beatrice Sensi. I had not heard of this one. But again, it's Fulci. I wanted to get it. And, it's kind of interesting because Fulci's done a whole lot of different type of movies. He's done sort of religious type films. He's done horror stuff. He's done thrillers. He's done a lot of giallos. But this is really the first time that he's really went into sort of fantasy style sci-fi, man. And I was really curious to check out what would Fulci do with fantasy sci-fi in the vein of like a Crawl or Star Wars or something in that those old like TV serials back in the day, Flash Gordon, stuff like that. And this is weird, dude. This is a really weird and bizarre one. It's this guy with this sort of magical bow and arrow, and his mission is to sort of beat this sort of dark queen and sort of beat her army. And it's just the journey that this character goes through, and just meeting up with people and villains and taking and just taking these villains down and conquering the Dark Queen. And Man, I'm gonna tell you, man, Fulci, this is one weird Euro fantasy trip, dude. It really is, man. I mean, the effects are kind of cool with the magical bow and arrow that kind of glows blue. The Dark Queen, the evil queen there, she's basically like pretty much naked for the movie, man. She's got this sort of mask on and she's just baring her breasts and it's trying to ape off of other fantasy movies that came out in the States. Like I said, things like Crawl and things like Star Wars and other fantasy based movies that have happened here in the States, but sort of this Euro take on it. And it is really bizarre, man. There's a lot of nudity here, there's a little bit of sex. There's some pretty cool action in here as well. Some of the effects are interesting, but it's a trip, dude. I don't know exactly if I love this movie, but after I watched it, I was just like kind of scratching my head of like this thing is really bizarre, and I don't know what to actually make of this movie other than to be like this thing is really out there and it's very abstract. Like there's times when the movie doesn't really make any sense. Like it jumps from one scene to the next there's no connection to anything that's going on. It's just really weird and bizarre. Like I said, it's got some cool creatures in here. The Dark Queen is kind of amusing. It's one of those movies where, like I said, I don't think it's Fulci's best. I think Fulci gave it a shot at trying to do fantasy in this way. Uh, it's weird, it's bizarre, it's on the lower end to me of Fulci, but I'm gonna tell you something. It's quite unique for a Fulci film, man, and it's definitely staying in the collection because I love Fulci and I want to keep his movies in the collection. But this is one that I was like, man, somebody was taking a lot of drugs with this movie, dude. They were just popping pills and drugs, uppers, downers, cocaine, marijuana, whatever, man. They were doing some heavy drug use making this movie, man. It was all over the place, but it has a fun vibe to it. But go in knowing that this is one weird ass movie, dude. It really is, man. This still worth it for you collectors out there, especially you Fulci lovers. But damn, man, this is a weird one. Code Red didn't do a bad job on this one, man. You get a conversation with Jorge Rivero, which is one of the stars of the movie. You get audio commentary with film historians Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson. Troy Howarth is such a really great sort of film historian, man. He really dives into stuff like, the actors and the time period that it was made and why Fulci decided to do this movie at this time and what it was trying to ape off of. Really fantastic audio commentaries that this guy does. And a trailer as well. If you're a fan of Fulci, definitely check this out, guys. Again, it's a trip. It's certainly not the Fulci's best, but it's definitely not the worst. It's one wild ride, dude. And if you're into weird Euro fantasy, sci-fi craziness, ridiculousness, give it a try. You might like it. Conquest. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is a release that I'm really happy to get. I've never had this title in the collection. I'm really shocked. As much as I love this movie, you'd have thought I would have had it in the collection already. But strangely enough, no. But time to rectify that one, guys. And that is none other than The Wizard of Oz right here. Yes, with this really great steelbook that came out, guys. Really nice steelbook right here with her sort of sleeping in the poppies right there. And on the back side, more of the poppies as well. And on the inside, guys, you end up having the Wicked Witch on one side there, sort of spying behind the tree. And then on the other side, you end up having Dorothy and the Scarecrow there. Not bad, man. You also have that. So that's very nice. And, you know, this movie, man, I've always had a love for this movie. Now, the reason why I've had a love for this movie, guys, is because this is my mother's favorite movie of all time. So when I was growing up, this movie was constantly played. My mother loves this movie to death. She loves Judy Garland. She loves sort of the sets. She loves the colors. It's a movie that she loved growing up and she wanted to share with me when I was a kid. And so I sort of shared in the love that she had for this movie and it sort of grew on me. And it's such a really great movie about this girl, Dorothy, who is having issues in Kansas and she just wants to get away. And one day there's this big tornado and it takes her house and spins it and everything and she's like, ah! And suddenly she lands in a world called Oz with these weird creatures and people and colors, and she can't believe it, and she goes on this adventure to find the Wizard of Oz and to beat the Wicked Witch and make these lifelong friends. And it's just a wonderful timeless story, and it's one of those movies where, you know, the classics never really go out of style. I mean, really. And Wizard of Oz is one of those classics that you could watch it as an adult and get the same enjoyment out of it as a kid can get of just seeing the lion and the scarecrow and the Tin Man and Dorothy and Toto and the Wicked Witch and the flying monkeys and, you know, and Glinda, and it's just this fantasy world that just makes you feel happy. It just really puts a smile on your face. And, you know, nothing really beats this movie. I mean, yes, there's been other movies like Wizard of Oz, like there's was The Wiz that came out with Michael Jackson, which is a pretty decent one. I mean, you also have the Return to Oz with Fairuza Balk, which I kind of actually like Return to Oz, to be honest with you. I think it's actually a pretty decent film. A very, very dark film for sure, man. But I still think it's pretty decent, man. And you also have Oz the Great and Powerful that came out with James Franco, which is good. I saw it in the movie theater with my mother, but we weren't really impressed with it as much as we wanted to be. But I mean, Wizard of Oz is timeless. They're always going to make stuff with Wizard of Oz, whether it's new books, whether it's new films. You know, they're always going to do something with it. It's just that timeless. And this is just one of those really great movies that you just can't deny. It truly is a classic, and there's a reason why it is. It stood the test of time, man. And this is just a really great release, man. I mean, it's got a lot of really great features. It's got some documentary. It's got the old school audio commentary, some trailers. It doesn't have as much features as the 3D version that came out. There was this big, huge box set of the 3D version that came out, and it has a huge amount of features, way more than this does. And maybe one day I'll pick that one up. For the time being, I've got this one and I'm happy with it. I will admit that this movie has had so many different versions that has come out, whether it's VHS or DVD and Blu-ray and now 4K. This is just a title that's going to be put out on the format just multiple times. It's just one of those ones, the same with Terminator and you know, Alien. It's just one of those titles that's just going to be out there in the market in multiple formats all the time. There's just never not going to be a new release of it. Just the honest truth, man. But this is a really good release, and the picture quality on the 4K is absolutely stunning. I mean, if you were thinking of upgrading and were unsure, the picture quality is astounding here, man. So it really is great. And before I go on to the next title, I just wanted to say that I used to live in a small town a long while back with my mother, and that small town is actually the town where Frank L. Baum was born, who actually wrote The Wizard of Oz. And every single summer, this town has the Ozfest, and what they do is that they end up celebrating, you know, everything Wizard of Oz, all Frank L. Baum. So they bring in authors, they bring in, you know, people to talk about the movie. They have a parade where people dress up as various Wizard of Oz characters. They used to have actually actors from the Wizard of Oz actually here. They've had Judy Garland's stunt double. They've had some of the Munchkins when they were still alive, and a bunch of other people. It was a really fascinating event to go to every single summer. I no longer go to it. It's kind of died down quite a bit, but at its height, when it was really going strong, it was a really great event, man. And it's just cool to see a town really embracing the roots of Wizard of Oz. It was really fun, man. And it was just a really interesting time to go to this sort of festival and really enjoy everything Wizard of Oz. It really opened my eyes to how much Wizard of Oz really means to so many people. and it really means a lot to them, man. So it was a wild experience, but it's cool to see the love that Wizard of Oz really gives people, man, and it really does, man. So if you've never checked out Wizard of Oz, definitely do it and pick up the 4K because it really is worth it, man. The Wizard of Oz. Then the next title that I picked up, guys, is one of the newer releases, and that is the Blu-ray DVD digital of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And oh man, dude, now I saw this movie in the movie theater with my friend John, and we really enjoyed this movie. You know, I'm a big horror movie fan. I love horror films. I've just been a big horror fan since I was in my like early teens, and it's just been a genre that I've really embraced. And you know, what's really great about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is that it feels very old school to me. You know, it has new school effects, and it tries to tell it in a new school way, but it has, you know, old school scary elements like the old dark house, you know, and it feels very much almost like a movie that you would see Vincent Price do back in the day, man. It's basically about these kids that end up going into this scary house, and they find this book, and they sort of end up getting cursed when they find this book, and the stories are now telling themselves where these kids are now being haunted by these apparitions and these ghosts and these demons, and they have to try to figure out how to stop this before it's too late. And it's based off of the Scary Stories book, and I've only read a few of those stories. I've never read a lot. Those sort of stories sort of passed me by when I was a kid. But based on what the movie is, some of these stories are really great. Whether it's the Pale Lady or the Missing Toe, the Jangly Man. I mean, some really scary stuff, dude. And I think they did it really well. I thought it was really effective, man. I thought the acting was really well done here. I thought sort of the old, you know, dark house and the scary house, and I like sort of the creepy tales that they were telling. I thought it worked really well. And here's the thing about it: the movie's PG-13. Now, I know some of you really hate on PG-13, and I get it, because a lot of you horror fans, including myself, are a big fan of R-rated horror films. I love R-rated, but I also love a lot of PG-13 horror films. And I do have to admit, there's not a lot of horror films that are really catered to the younger crowd anymore. You know, it's kind of interesting because, you know, as horror fans, we've been so much in love with horror and have been with horror for so long that we forget that there's a whole generation of kids that are just getting into horror that maybe you don't want to start them off with the most goriest thing in the world. You want to start them off with something a little bit more PG-13 friendly that has some creepiness to it, but it will give them maybe a little bit of nightmares, but it's not going to overwhelm them. I think Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is one of those really great PG-13 horror movies that you can really introduce people into the horror genre with. I bring it like on the level of something like Gremlins, or you know, even even like some of the other stuff, like the old school House on Haunted Hill and stuff like that. Just movies that, even like something like Goosebumps, movies that you can end up sort of showing a younger kid, and they may be a little bit scared by it, but it's not so intense that they can't get into it. And I think movies like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark are ones that are definitely worth giving a chance to, especially for a younger generation, but also for an older generation who likes some of the older school horror stuff from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, kind of like how I do. I like that old school stuff, and I think this definitely pays homage to that in a big bad way, guys. I really like that a lot. And they have a lot of really cool stuff here. They have a lot of making ofs, they have trailers, they have deleted and extended scenes. Some really cool stuff here, guys. And I have to admit, the movie sort of ends almost in a way of they want to make another film. And I know this movie didn't do that well at the box office, and it's a real shame. But I would love to see more. I would love to see more in this Scary Stories world. I would love to see them do more, because I know that the books have more stories to tell. So I would love to see them dive into it. And again, if they're made just as good as this, I would definitely be up for it in a big bad way, guys. I thought it was really great for a PG-13 horror film. Not every PG-13 horror film is created equal, but this one was a really great surprise and well worth checking out, guys. Not bad. scary stories to tell in the dark. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is another new release, and it's one that I was not expecting to love as much as I did, but man, I really love this one quite a bit, and that is the Blu-ray digital of The Art of Racing in the Rain. And, you know, I love dogs. I love dogs. I think I may have told you that guys that before, but I really do, man. I am a dog lover. I really do. Even though I've never really owned any dogs, I've been around dogs enough in my life, and it's just I just am more of a dog lover than anything else. And I love a good dog movie, but to be fair, it's been a while since I've really loved one quite a bit. I think the last one I really liked was Marley and Me. That was very emotional. It really just, took a toll on me. But it was a really great story. But there's a lot of ones I've loved in the past, whether it's Canine or Turner and Hooch, All Dogs Go to Heaven. Even Rodney Dangerfield did an animated dog movie. I think it was Rover Dangerfield, I think it was. And I really even loved that one. Man, that was back when I was a kid. I do really love them. And when I heard about this movie, I thought, okay, it's kind of schmaltzy, and I'm not sure I'm gonna like this. And so I didn't watch it in the theater. So I waited until when I did the out and about to watch the movie. And I was so pleasantly surprised by this film. I was like, my God, this thing is really fun. It's really emotional. It tugs at your heartstrings. It has a great sort of story about a man and his best friend, who's his dog, and just the journey that they go on together throughout their life. And I just really embraced this one in a big bad way, dude. I thought this was really well done, man. I love the voiceover of the dog stuff with Kevin Costner. I thought he did a really great job. I love sort of the emotional story of this guy who's a racer who purchases this puppy, and sort of the journey that he has with his racing and with basically just meeting this woman and having a kid, and just sort of the life that he has, and the dog sort of going on this journey with him. There's been a lot of dog movies that have come out in the last few years. I mean, A Dog's Purpose and A Dog's Journey, and those are good movies. Don't get me wrong, man. They really are. But there's something about this movie that really just tugged at my heartstrings and really just made me fall in love with this film so much, man. I think the performances are great. I think the story's well told. I like the emotional aspects with the dog. I really fell for this one in a big bad way, dude. And it's a real shame that this movie has kind of gotten swept under the rug. Because it's a 20th Century Fox movie, but basically when Disney bought 20th Century Fox, certain movies like this were already put in the can and done. And Disney sort of just put them out and sort of rushed them out with barely any promotion and barely any sort of hype to it. And just dumped it in theaters, and it was there and then it was gone. And I think a lot of people don't really know about this movie, or if they do, they don't really want to give it a chance. If you're a dog lover, if you really love some great dog movies, this is one that I genuinely do think you guys should explore, because I really do enjoy this one quite a bit, man. It's a great emotional story, and just a great journey between a man and his best friend. Really enjoy this one quite a bit, guys. And you have some really great special features here: a journey to screen, directing the art, Enzo Cam, behind the wheel, audio commentary by the director, and much more. Really great special features diving into the making of this movie, and it really is a well done film. Definitely worth your time, guys. Definitely give it a chance. I don't think you'll be disappointed, especially if you're a dog lover like me. The Art of Racing in the Rain. Then the next title that I picked up is another new release, a 4K Blu-ray digital release, and that is Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Yes, indeed, I picked this one up, guys. I saw this in the movie theater, and I wanted to watch it because, okay, look, I have a weird love and fascination with the Fast and Furious movies. I just kind of do, and I don't really even know why. I don't know why I do, guys. They're cheesy, they're ridiculous, they're over the top. Sometimes they're just plain old not that great, but somehow I love them. And it's interesting how the Fast and the Furious franchise has morphed over the years. I mean, really. I mean, it was basically a street racing movie that's turned into spy, espionage, uh, you know, uh, tracking down international terrorist type of movies. And I'm like, how did we get to this point? Jeez, man. And, for a while the franchise was kind of going downhill until The Rock came in. And I remember when The Rock came in Fast 5, and it blew the doors off of everything. I mean, people loved Fast 5. They loved Rock. They thought he just reinvigorated the franchise. And, and I agree. I think The Rock did. And then you bring in Jason Statham in Part 7 playing the bad guy. And I thought he was really good in that. And his character has sort of morphed as well. And I remember when in Part 7, him and The Rock had that short fight scene, and I thought there was some really cool chemistry there. I didn't really think much about it at the time. I just thought there was really cool chemistry, and then they really did a huge amount of it in Part 8, where they had a lot of great scenes together, and they were having fight scenes together, and you could really tell the chemistry was just popping big time. And a lot of people left Fast and Furious 8 really feeling like the best thing about that movie was the interactions between Rock and Jason Statham. So why not capitalize it? And that's what they did. They did this spin-off, the first spin-off of the Fast and Furious franchise, and I thought this movie was all kinds of awesome, dude. Is it ridiculous? Yes. Is it cheesy? Yes. Is it way over the top? Absolutely. But you want to know what? I really enjoyed it. This movie is sort of like is dripping with machismo, dude. I mean, just two male action stars, at the height of their careers, going at each other, quipping and just, trying to up the other one, and it's so fun, dude. It really is massively fun, man. And it just reminds me of old school movies like Tango and Cash, of like two people that are different types of action stars, just sort of butting heads, and how fun that can really be. Sometimes you don't really get that much anymore. But this one really brought me back to those old school days, and I really appreciate it, man. And yes, there is certain things in this movie where you're like, what? How? The Rock just took down a helicopter with a chain? Like you're like it's just ridiculousness. It doesn't make any goddamn fucking sense, but somehow it's just crazy, ridiculous fun, and I enjoyed every single second of it, man. I really did, dude. I just think this is great, and I even think Idris Elba is great as this sort of really over the top robotic bad guy that considers him the Black Superman, which I'm like, hey, dude, you got no arguments from me, man. I thought this was really fun. I really honestly did, dude. I had a ball with this, man, and I would love to see a second film. I really honestly would. I think this movie made enough money at the box office where I think they could justify making a second one. I would love to see it. I think the chemistry is off the charts with Statham and The Rock, and sometimes the chemistry in this movie is better than the chemistry in the regular Fast and the Furious movies. I mean, really, honestly. I don't know where they're gonna go next. Possibly in space. I could see it happening, guys. But I'd be there 100% all the way, man. Not bad at all, man. And there's some really cool stuff here. You get deleted scenes, alternate opening, some making of stuff, typical making of featurettes, but very well done movie, man. And like I said, if you're an old school fan of things like Tango and Cash, which by the way deserves a special edition by far, man, where is that? Come on, guys, let's make that one happen. But if you're a fan of those, man, then Hobbs and Shaw is right up your alley, dude. It's so fun, so ridiculous, but I just go with it sometimes. And this is one of those just go with it movies. And I had a ball, man. And I really do recommend this one. Machismo dripping all over it, but really cool machismo, and one definitely worth checking out, man. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is a Blu-ray DVD combo from Full Moon Features. Oh my god, man, what a blast from the past this movie is. Whew. Pre-hysteria, guys. Oh my god, man, what a blast from the fucking past, dude. Wow. Oh my god. I watched this, and you have to remember the VHS boom, even in the 90s, VHS was still very popular, and things like Prehysteria was one of those ones where you saw it at your local Blockbuster, or you saw the cover and you're like, I want to watch this. This looks really cool. Look, dinosaurs, dinosaurs, Mom, we gotta watch it. I was one of those people, man. And let's be honest, this movie is it apes off the success of Jurassic Park. Okay, let's not split hairs here, man. And that's what Charles Band was doing back in the day, dude. Charles Band was, seeing what was popular and taking advantage of it. And that's not to say it's a bad thing. I mean, we get movies like Prehysteria, which are actually pretty good. I mean, the movie is about this family that finds these eggs, and eventually they end up hatching, and there's these little dinosaurs, and they're cute and they're funny and they're amusing, and the family has sort of a ridiculous wild time with the dinosaurs. All the while, this sort of evil museum curator guy is trying to get the eggs back and the dinosaurs, and they have to stop his evil plan, and with the help of the mini dinosaurs. And it's fun, dude. It's fun. What can I tell you, man? I have a fun time with this one. And when they were having a sale on this movie during November, I really thought, why not pick this thing up, dude? It's not a lot of money to pick it up. I remember really loving the movie, and rewatching it, I'm like, it's still fun, dude. It's ridiculous. It's B-movie, over the top, kiddie-friendly cheese, but it's one I really enjoy, dude. And that's what Charles Band does, dude. I mean, there's times where I really love Charles Band, and there's other times when I sit there, I'm like, really, dude? Come on. You're really doing that? But honestly, man, I think Prehysteria is one of those movies that it really tugs at me sort of back in the day as a child. And I just want to have it in the collection, man. And it's a fun movie. It's fun. At the end of the day, it's just a fun film. And I really enjoy this one. And I love the practical effects in there. I think the practical effects are really cool as well. The over-the-top acting, I don't know, it's what I watched when I was a kid, man, and why not put it in the collection? So, I enjoy it, dude. That's just me. Definitely let me know what you guys think of Prehysteria. But, you get here an audio commentary by Charles Band and Austin O'Brien, and that's pretty much all you get, dude. But, I have a small love for dinosaurs, and Prehysteria back when I was a kid just really was like, touched my itch after Jurassic Park, man. Sometimes when you're trying to do a ripoff or a copy, sometimes they come off bad, sometimes they come off good. Prehysteria is one of the ones where I actually thought it worked pretty well, man. I thought it did. Not every Charles Band one works really well, but Prehysteria is one that does not bad, in my opinion, man. Definitely give it a look. Not bad. Prehysteria. Then the next title that I picked up is an Arrow title. And oh man, this was one I have never had in the collection, but I have a ton of respect for this movie, and I'm glad to finally own it in the collection. And that is Old Boy right here. Oh, with this really great slipcover right there. I really like that. And on the inside, the art here as well, not bad at all. And on the inside here, you also end up getting a booklet as well, and the booklet ends up having a lot of pictures and articles about the making of the movie as well, so they do have that also, guys. And I really do love Old Boy, man. I remember when I watched Old Boy for the first time, and I remember just really falling like in love with the movie. And just while I was watching it, I kept wondering what's going on in this film, dude. This guy is out for revenge. He ends up really wanting to take down this guy and everybody that he has to get through in order to get to this dude. And then he's got this other woman that's kind of by his side helping him, and there's sort of a mystery aspect to the movie. There's sort of a film noir quality to it. I think the movie is absolutely brutal as all hell, dude. I think that the fight scenes, I mean, there's especially a really great fight scene where he's attacking all of these guys in like a building, and it's some of the best choreography fight scenes that you could ever get, dude. It's one of the best, dude. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna spoil it, but at the end of the movie, when sort of they reveal what they reveal, I was floored. I was not ready for that. I was not ready for that at all. And I wasn't ready for what happens to the guy at the end either. When he does what he does, I'm like, I was like, oh my god, dude, Jesus Christ, like, and then after I watched the movie, I'm like, this thing is fucking amazing. This thing is brilliant. It's a masterpiece, and it's a masterpiece of cinema, and it's so goddamn good, dude. You know, there's not many movies like Old Boy out there. There really isn't, man. When you watch Old Boy for the first time, it's like an experience, dude. And even watching it the second and third time and picking up stuff that you didn't pick up the first or second time you watched it, you always find something new. It's one of those really great movies where you can always get something out of the movie every single time you watch it. I really love this film, dude. I really honestly do, man. It's a staple of foreign cinema. I think horror fans really respect this film. I think it's just a really well mastered and well crafted film, and it really honestly is. And stick with the original, okay? Because I've watched the remake. I'm sure you guys are gonna ask me about that. I watched the remake. I actually, in fact, watched the remake with Bob. We went to the movie theaters and we saw it, and we did not love that movie. It pretty much is the same movie minus a couple of things that they decided to change, and it's just an Americanized version. Josh Brolin isn't bad in the movie. Elizabeth Olsen is not bad in it either. But you kind of feel like been there, done that. And you kind of feel like it's a watered down version to what this movie is. Forget the American version. Just forget it, guys. Watch this version because this is the pure version. This is the one and only version. I don't want to give too much away because it's so goddamn good, but it's one of those movies that will mesmerize you, that will shock you, and you'll just leave the movie thinking that, what the fuck did I just watch? And I want to watch it again. Like, it's one of those really just movies that I think really blows you away, and it really blew me away in a big bad way, guys. I really love this one. This is a high recommendation for me, no doubt about it. I'm so glad to finally own this in the collection. I was actually at one point going to buy the old Blu-ray of this movie, and then Arrow came out and announced they were doing an edition for it, and I'm like, you know what? Thank God. Sometimes it pays to be patient and waiting, and I waited. I'm glad I did, man. This one, wow, man. Sometimes it pays for your patience, and this is a great addition, dude. Arrow gave it the love it really deserves, man. I mean, you get a lot of really great stuff here. You get audio commentary with Park Chan-wook, who's the director who did an amazing job in this movie. You get new audio commentary with some critics. You get a new video appreciation of the movie, behind the scenes featurettes, extensive cast and crew interviews, deleted scenes, trailer galleries. You also get a full length documentary about the making of the movie as well, on top of so much more, man. I mean, this movie is a fucking godsend, and I love this movie so goddamn much, man. It's one that has to be seen to be believed, but when you see it, I think you appreciate it a hell of a lot. Whether it's the acting, whether it's the story, whether it's just sort of the shocking moments that you can't believe they just did. When it came out, it really stunned audiences at the time when it came out, and I can see why. I mean, when I watched it, it stunned the hell out of me, so it's definitely worth a watch, guys. Once you watch it, you might want to pick it up. It's that damn good, guys. I really enjoy it quite a bit, man. Well worth your time, and Arrow gave it the love it richly deserves, man. Not bad at all. Definitely check it out. Oh boy. And the next pickup that I got, guys, is a release from Second Sight Films over in the UK, and it's one that I'm so glad finally got the love it deserves. It didn't get a lot of love when it hit on physical media here in the States, but I'm so glad that Second Sight gave it the love it richly deserves, and that is none other than Upgrade right here with this really great artwork, man. I'm so glad that this got the love it deserves, honestly, man. this, but you not only get this, man, and by the way, this is a hard shell case, very, very nice. You also end up obviously getting the case here with the same artwork. You also end up getting a booklet as well, which shows off, a bunch of pictures and articles about the making of the movie. Not half bad. Here, you also end up getting a poster as well, and basically this is the same poster as the artwork is on the actual cover, so there's nothing really new here, but I'll kind of just show you guys regardless here. They do have, yeah, this is pretty much the same artwork, but really, really, really nice. You get that along with the booklet and everything. Very, very nice release from Second Sight Films. They definitely gave it the love it deserves in a big, bad way. And let's talk about Upgrade, shall we? Because I remember seeing Upgrade in the movie theaters with Bob, and I remember seeing the trailers and really loving the trailers, dude, and thinking to myself, this is a really unique and interesting movie. It basically takes place in the near future where basically technology rules everything. And this guy ends up getting mugged really badly. His wife ends up getting killed, and he can no longer use he can no longer use the use of his body and his legs. He can't feel anything. And this one guy ends up saying, "Well, I have the perfect solution for you. I have this microchip that can have you walk again, can have you be yourself again. It will get you to be who you are again. You just have to let it control you." And he does. And what happens is that he's trying to find the guys who ended up killing his wife and mugging him and beating him to a bloody pulp. And what ends up happening is that the microchip inside of him actually is able to communicate with him and starts to help him find these people. But not only that, but it starts to control his body and actually fight for him, and starts to control his mind and his thoughts, and eventually this guy ends up uncovering the truth of why he ends up having this microchip in his head and the people behind the plot to kill his wife. It's very cool, man. It's very cool. It's very sci-fi. It feels like it owes a lot to movies like RoboCop and other films from the 80s. It just feels just very unique, very genuine, and it just feels very retro, and it just feels so kick-ass and badass of a movie, dude. It's one of those films where I feel like people don't really appreciate it when it came out at the time that it did. I remember when Bob and I left the theater watching this and we're like, this thing is amazing. This thing is so badass. The fight scenes are so great because not only is he enhanced by the microchip, but there's other people that he's finding who ended up mugging him who also have enhancements in their bodies as well. Whether it's like guns in their bodies or knives or superhuman abilities. And the fight scenes and the choreography in here are absolutely stunning and amazing. I thought the future tech here is really cool, and it feels like something that could really happen in the near future. I thought the acting here was brilliant. I thought the sci-fi aspects, I thought the technology stuff, I thought the villains were really cool and badass, kind of like how they are in RoboCop, very evil and sinister, but yet really badass. I love this movie so much, man. This movie is one of those really kick-ass science fiction movies that you rarely see anymore. You saw these movies back in the 80s and maybe the early 90s. Things like Starship Troopers and I think things like RoboCop and stuff like that that really sort of just are like, dude, this movie is badass. And that's how you sort of watch those movies. And Upgrade is one of those titles, dude. It's a sci-fi movie, but it's sort of a modern day action movie as well, mixed with the sci-fi fantasy elements. And I think it really works, dude. Now, this movie is directed by Lee Winnell, and I have to admit that Lee Winnell, who has written, a lot of the Saw franchise, and, he's ended up doing a lot of stuff with, like, the Conjuring universe and stuff like that. He's a really interesting director because he comes at it not from like like an auteur standpoint. He comes at it from a I'm a fan of these movies from the 80s and the 90s, and I am a fanboy, and I'm going to take my love of those movies and make something really unique and cool and interesting that pays homage to it but yet does its own thing. And I think this does it in a really big bad way, man. I really do. You can tell how much of a fan he is of those other films, how much he pays respect to that stuff. I can't say enough about this movie. I think Upgrade is really well done, guys, and it's one you honestly have to put on your radar, dude. If you haven't watched it or are a fan of those old school sci-fi 80s action movies, this is one that you've got to check out, dude. Honestly, it is well worth your time. And I thought Second Sight did a really great job here, man. I mean, you get the audio commentary by director Lee Winnell. You get a lot of featurettes here. The Art of Fighting Without Fighting. You get an interview with the fight choreographers, interview with the cinematographer, with the editor. A bunch of really great featurettes here, man. And I do want to say something about. I want to say about how much I really appreciate stuff from the UK, because some of the UK stuff is really so great. And it's really a shame that some of the US companies don't put as much love into some of these titles as some of the UK companies do, or German companies, or stuff like that. Because I remember when this came out on physical media and I was doing the out and about for it, and I really wanted to buy this movie at the time. I really loved it so much. And I remember looking at the special features, and there was no special features. Like, there was none. There was nothing. And even the audio commentary at the time was only on iTunes. You could only get it through iTunes. It was not on the disc. And I was like, what kind of fucking bullshit is this? That we can't even get any special features on here, and I have to go on iTunes to get the fucking commentary? What is this crap? And I decided to wait. I said, I'm going to wait on this, and maybe in the future, who knows, 5, 10 years from now, maybe there's going to be a better release. Thankfully, I didn't have to wait that long. Thankfully, Second Sight did a really great job on this, man. I just wish that the U.S. companies would put more effort into some of these titles than, they really do. And the UK really proves again that at times they are really great at these titles, dude. And they really give a lot of love when they really deserve it. And this one definitely did. So thank you to Second Sight for that. This is really an awesome release, man. And I'm so happy to finally have it in the collection. I wanted it in the collection sooner, but better late than never, guys. So damn glad to finally have Upgrade in the collection. Then the next title that I picked up is another Arrow release, and oh, this is an upgrade I wanted, dude. This is an upgrade I needed to have, oh, so badly. And that is RoboCop. Oh my god, yes. Look at this, man. Look at this. So great, dude. On the back, very nice, man. Oh, so awesome. And you get so much stuff here, dude. You end up getting this huge size booklet, man, that comes with the front cover of the booklet and the back of the booklet as well, man. And like I said, a bunch of pictures, articles about the making of the movie, really in-depth stuff, man. They have that as well. Of course, I changed the artwork on the cover to reflect this with RoboCop coming out of the car. Very badass, man. And of course, you also get a poster as well. And this poster is basically is a two-sided poster. You end up getting the artwork over here, and then the artwork over here with him stepping out of the car. Not bad, man. Not bad at all. Very, very, very cool, dude. Arrow always does an amazing job, man. And this is no joke, dude. Oh, when they announced this title, I was so anticipating this, guys. No lie. I was like, I cannot wait for this. This is going to be so freaking cool. And I'm so glad that I got this, guys. And RoboCop, dude, RoboCop is badass. RoboCop is so fucking awesome, dude. Basically, it's Murphy. He's in this world where crime is running rampant, and these people just don't give a fuck. And he's trying to be the good cop here, and he tries to stop these bad guys, and they just blow him to smithereens, dude. They just blow him to fucking Swiss cheese. And he ends up getting these cybernetic enhancements, and he's now working for the police force, and he's RoboCop. And dude, RoboCop is so badass, man. I love Peter Weller in this role, man. Peter Weller owns this role, down to the movements and the way he talks and just a really great performance by him. Paul Verhoeven, who does a really great job here as well, dude. Paul Verhoeven directed this movie, and he is amazing at directing this movie. He ups the violence here. He ups the satire. This is such a really phenomenal movie. Yeah, Ronnie Cox is in here as well. Miguel Ferrer, such great actors in this piece, man. I love how they are talking about commerce and sort of business and satirizing commercials and satirizing the world and making it ultra violent, and it so works. The bad guys are colorful and they're mean spirited, and they just are some of the best villains that you've ever seen on screen. The violence is so bloody and gory, dude. It's so great, man. There's one where one bad guy is literally, he's got like toxic waste on him, and he's like, oh, and RoboCop or somebody. Oh no, it's not RoboCop. One of the bad guys runs the villain over, and he literally turns into goo when he runs him over. I'm like, oh my fucking god, dude. I mean, this movie is great. This movie is all kinds of violence, all kinds of just gory, bloody, action-packed fun. The 80s were so good for this time, dude. I mean, they could pull off shit in the 80s that you can't even do nowadays, guys. It is so fucking awesome, man. I really love this movie so much, dude. This movie and RoboCop 2 I really enjoy. RoboCop 3, I could take RoboCop 3 and leave it. And don't even talk to me about the remake, guys, because the remake is garbage, okay? Garbage. This one is so great, dude. And I love, like, I'll buy that for $1. Like, I love this movie, dude. I love it. And I've owned it on DVD before. I've owned it on Blu-ray before. But when Arrow decided to do the upgrade, I wanted this title. Arrow does a great job, guys. Arrow does. And this is so well worth the upgrade, man. So well worth it. Arrow did an amazing job here, man. The picture quality is phenomenal. On top of that, you get so many great special features here. Phenomenal amount of special features. Audio commentaries, featurettes, interviews. I mean, this thing, you get the director's cut and the theatrical cut. The director's cut actually adds more violence and gore to the movie. I actually absolutely prefer the theatrical cut over the director's cut. I don't know why. I just kind of like the flow of the theatrical cut better than the director's cut, but that doesn't matter, guys. Director's cut, theatrical cut, it doesn't matter, dude. This movie is so fucking awesome. It doesn't matter what you guys decide to watch. It's just an awesome movie and an awesome time, and it's a goddamn action classic. Movies like Upgrade owe it to movies like RoboCop in a big bad way, guys, and it really does. I love this movie so much. I cannot highly recommend this enough to you guys. If you guys want to get the Arrow Edition, great. If you guys want to get the regular Blu-ray, great. Just watch RoboCop, dude. It's such a fun time and so well worth it. I love this movie so much. It is, it's an action classic, and every time I watch it, it puts a smile on my face. All the gory and bloody good time, man. I love it so goddamn much. I think you will too. Oh, Arrow did a great job, man. Definitely check this one out. RoboCop. And the next title that I got, guys, is another new release, one I really wanted to pick up because I really enjoyed it in theaters quite a bit, and that is none other than Blinded by the Light. Yes, Blinded by the Light right here, which is such a really great story, man, about this kid who is kind of lost in his life a little bit. He feels like his parents don't really listen to him, that they don't really respect him, that he feels like, girls don't really want to talk to him, and that the passion that he has for certain things, that no one is really encouraging him enough, and so he just wants to give up. And one day, somebody from school says, hey, listen to Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen is the answer to all of your problems. And he's like, okay, fine, whatever. And he one day decides to listen to it, and it just opens the doors to his world of realizing that somebody actually understands him. Somebody actually listens to him and knows what he really wants out of life. And Bruce Springsteen sort of opens the doors for him and his creativity, and it's such an awesome and really great movie, dude. Me being a fan of Springsteen, and I really am a fan of his, I really like his music quite a bit. It doesn't touch me the way that it touches this kid in the movie, but there are certain artists out there, and it really is true. Everybody has those certain artists that really speak to them, and there's those times when you're younger or you're in a funk and you just listen to certain music and it just makes you either feel better or makes you feel like somebody out there really understands what you're going through. And and this is a very powerful story. The crazy enough, this is actually a true story, and the guy that this actually happened to has met Bruce Springsteen a ton of times, went to a ton of concerts, and it's just a really well told tale. And it's a well told story. I love the emotion here. I love the acting here, and I really got to give props to Bruce Springsteen here because Bruce Springsteen allowed the music to be put into this movie because big artists like Bruce Springsteen who have huge hits, sometimes they don't really want to have their work in these movies. Copyright issues and filmmakers, unfortunately, sometimes their hands are tied. They really couldn't do this movie without Bruce Springsteen music in here. They could have, but it probably would have been very watered down. They needed Bruce Springsteen's approval. They got it. Bruce Springsteen really, from all accounts in the special features, he really loves the movie quite a bit. And it's just one of those movies that it makes you feel good after you watch it. There's some really great movies out there that are just great feel good movies, like I've talked about yesterday before. That is just a really great feel good movie that makes you feel good about music and about life. And this is one of those ones. Even though there's people out there that want to tear you down, even though there's people out there that have negativity in their lives, it's movies like this and it's situations like this that really give you a lift and really makes you appreciate the world sometimes. Even through all the dark spots and the negativity in the world, there's certain times when you just feel good about it. And this movie is one of those bright spots, man. And I really do enjoy it quite a bit, dude. I really had a fun time with this one for sure, guys. And you get behind the scenes, the true story behind the film, making of featurettes and deleted scenes. Very cool stuff. Talking to the real life person that this happened to, talking to the director who had her own really wonderful experiences with Bruce Springsteen. So this movie is a passion project for everybody involved, and it really feels it, dude. It was a really fun time watching it in the movie theaters and rewatching it again. I really had a fun time with this one. So this one is definitely worth checking out, guys. If you love music movies, Bruce Springsteen, feel good films, this is definitely one checking out, guys. By far, give it a look. Blinded by the light. We got that right there. And the next pickup I got is a Scream Factory release. It's an old school Scream Factory release. One that I found over at Barnes & Noble's when they were having their Criterion sale. I didn't pick up anything during the Criterion sale, but I did find this, and I thought, why not pick it up? And that is the Vampire Lovers right here, guys. Oh, with that really great art, man. Look at that. If you dare, taste the deadly passion of the blood nymphs. I love that. That is so great, dude. I love this. Caution, not for the mentally immature. Just remember that, guys. This is a really great one, man. And I've always kind of been eyeing this title a little bit, but I never actually wanted to pick it up because I thought, it was a lot of money at the time, and I really didn't want to invest all that money into a movie that I wasn't quite sure whether I was going to like or not. But when I was at Barnes & Noble's, I was browsing around, and this was like $14.99, something like that, and I was like, okay, $14.99, I could buy this, and if it's not that good, okay, $14.99, maybe I can sell it or something, whatever. But watching it, I really fell in love with this movie, and it's really just old school. Takes a lot of great sort of pages from sort of old school Hammer horror movies. Even having Peter Cushing in here as well, who does a really great job. And it's basically just about this sort of female vampire who sort of likes women, has lesbian tendencies, and she sort of disturbs this house and disturbs these women and trying to turn these girls into vampires. And it's these people that are trying to stop her from doing that. And it's just so good, man. I love the eroticism here. I love the sexualness here. it's sort of Hammer horror in the best way. It doesn't sort of it doesn't overdo it with the sexuality. It doesn't like have everybody be completely naked and start having sex all over the place. It's not a Euro horror film by any means, but you see sort of you see sort of the bustiers, you see the cleavage, you see sort of the lust that these women have. They're sort of writhing around and touching each other, and I sort of love the old school Victorian aspects of the movie. I love the acting. The acting is kind of cheesy for the time, and I always love these movies. And the reason why I always love these movies is because I love the time period that these movies are made. They're like, well, vampires can't exist, and oh, and then suddenly somebody like sees a real life vampire with the fangs and everything, and then they have to sort of stake it and cut the head off, and I just sort of love this old school stuff. That's why I sort of love movies like Bram Stoker's Dracula so much, because it sort of takes that wonderful Hammer horror aspect of it, that old Victorian stuff with Dracula, and sort of spins it into a unique way. It's much more sexual than a regular sort of everyday vampire movie, but I really love the performances here. I love the sexuality. I love Peter Cushing in here as well, man. Peter Cushing is classic. He's done so many of these type of vampire Hammer horror style movies, man. He's always A+ in these movies, dude. I love it, dude. So for me, Vampire Lovers was a really unique surprise. I wasn't prepared to like this one, but I've always wanted to give it a chance, and having a really cool and interesting lesbo vampire film is kind of fun, man. It was fun. It was a fun one, dude. I liked the sexuality pouring through this movie. It's not, a flat out porno, because I've seen some vampire movies that turn into flat out porno. This is not it. It's a little more tasteful than that, but still very entertaining, man. And I had a fun with this one. This is definitely a surprise for me, but one I wanted to give a chance to. So I'm glad I did, man. And Scream Factory did a really good job here. You get Femme Fantastique resurrecting the vampire lovers, reading of Camille, which this was based off of a book. You get commentary with the director, an interview with one of the actors, photo gallery, theatrical trailer, and a radio spot. Quite a bit here, and it's just one of those vampire films, dude, that I just really love, man. I've always loved the sexuality in vampire movies, with Dracula and the idea of him seducing these women, but it's always cool to sort of see the other side of a woman vampire seducing the females. It's something you don't see a lot. You see the females always being seduced by the males. This one goes a little bit of a different route, but I thought it was still equally as effective, man, and I really enjoy this one quite a bit. Definitely give it a chance if you're into vampire ones. The Vampire Lovers. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is actually a couple releases from Severin. Yes, Severin Films, baby. They're at it again, man. And the first title I picked up from them is none other than The Boys Next Door. Yes, this very unique and interesting movie that I had never heard of before. Now, I used to be a big Charlie Sheen fan back in the day, man. I mean, whether we're talking about The Wraith or Wall Street, Lucas, a ton of stuff, man. I was a fan of Charlie Sheen back in the day, man. The guy was just an acting fiend and did some really killer roles, man. And, it's kind of crazy because you think you know everything that somebody does until you come across a movie that you've never heard of, and The Boys Next Door is one of them. And also Max Caulfield in this because, look, I'm a huge fan of Grease 2. I love Grease 2, and I like Max Caulfield in Grease 2 quite a bit, man. And, I've seen him in a couple other various things, but I always remember from Grease 2. And so when they announced this title, I thought to myself, I was like, okay, I've never heard of this. These are two interesting actors, directed by Penelope Spheris, who has done some really great work, of course, Wayne's World being among them. And I thought, I gotta check this one out, man. And I'm really happy that I did. I mean, look, it's basically about these two guys in high school who really are... I I don't want to say they're losers because they're not losers. They're two guys who just feel like society is not what they want it to be, and it's kind of abandoned them, and they're kind of bitter and they hate the world, and you know, they're just kind of anarchists in a lot of ways. And they just decide to start taking it out on society, whether it's beating people up for their ethnicity or, you know, trying to beat people down for money or for because of their sexuality, trying to sleep with anything that walks. I mean, these guys are trying to get in trouble at every corner of the story, and it's just their journey of them causing all of this chaos. And it's a very fascinating movie, man. It really is. It's one of those movies where I really didn't know what I was gonna expect when I ended up starting to watch this movie, but I'm really glad I did, dude. This movie, man, I thought the performances was great. Charlie Sheen is playing the guy that's a little bit more subdued, but he's still an anarchist, but he's not to the level that Max Caulfield is. Max Caulfield is somebody in this movie who is dangerous. Like, he is somebody that could go off at any second on you. He's just so unpredictable in this role. And he's terrifying, he's menacing. You're just not sure of what he's going to do from scene to scene, and that's what makes it so goddamn effective, man. I love how this movie is just, it's a take on teenagers at this time period in their lives of, like, during this time period you saw movies like The Breakfast Club, you saw movies like this, where the teens were just having crazy wild fun adventures, but you never saw the more depressive and more harsh side of reality. And this is the more harsh side of it. And I really thought it was powerful. I thought it was hard hitting. And this is a movie, by the way, that cannot be made today. I am guaranteeing you 100% this movie cannot be made today. I talked about something like Private School, but this movie cannot be made today. Whether you would get hate for the gay bashing stuff, you would get hate for him killing a woman just because his friend is having sex with him, with her. Just somebody who just hates on somebody because of them being Muslim. I mean, this movie, I'm sure at the time was very controversial, but talk about controversial it would be nowadays. I mean, this movie just cannot be made now, man. And Penelope Spheris just did a really great job with this. She basically brings the story of an angle of almost like punkish to almost sort of anarchist and depressive these kids are, and how they just want to lash out at society. I thought this was a really powerful story, man. I'm surprised I had never actually heard of this one before, but I'm really glad. And this is one of those underrated movies where I'm sure not a lot of people are know about this movie, dude. I mean, as much as I love Charlie Sheen, I didn't know about this, and I'm sure a lot of you guys, this probably passed you by, man. But check it out for Charlie Sheen. Check it out for Max Caulfield, who does an amazing job, man. Penelope Spheris, who did this really great movie at a time in her career when I think people were telling her probably not to do this movie, and she said, fuck it, I'm just gonna make this movie because I care about the material and I want it to get made, man. I really think this movie is one that definitely should be seen by a lot of people, man. It definitely is a statement on society in a big bad way. Maybe a statement on society that maybe society wasn't ready for at the time, and maybe they're not even ready for now, but it's one that definitely needs to be watched, man, for sure. And the special features, man, Severin did a great job on this, dude. I mean, you get an audio commentary by Penelope and Maxwell Caulfield. You get Blind Rage, an interview with Stephen Thrower, who's an author. You get both sides of the law, an interview with actors Max Caulfield and Christopher McDonald, who's also in the movie. Give us your money, interviews with street band performers, Caveman Day, interview with director Penelope Spheris and actor Matt Caulfield, Tales from the End Zone, interview with another one of the actors, the Psychotronic Tourist, The Boys Next Door, who also goes through sort of the locations of the film. alternate opening, title sequence, and extended scenes trailers. And it's a really fascinating movie because Penelope Spheres ended up talking in the special features about how nobody really like for a director like her, she makes a certain movie and everybody wants her to make that movie, that she can't get out of making that certain film. And it's movies like The Boys Next Door that really she wanted to make because she wanted to get out of being sort of typecast as a director. And unfortunately, she ended up getting typecast anyways, but it's a movie that she was very proud about. And it's a movie that, they talk about the behind the scenes stuff of how intense some of the acting was and how Charlie Sheen was on set and how wild Charlie Sheen was. Because they talk about that Charlie Sheen was sort of very wild during this movie, talking about how I think Penelope Spheres had like her underage daughter on set who was like 13 or 14 years old, and Charlie Sheen is hitting on her daughter, and she's like, whoa, back the fuck off of my daughter, just some crazy sort of wild stories on the set and everything. It's a movie that can't be made today, man, but it's a movie that definitely needs to be seen, man. Definitely watch this one. What a very interesting and fascinating movie, guys. The Boys Next Door. Then the next Severin title that I picked up is, oh man, I never have seen this one before, but goddamn, I wanted to pick it up, and what kind of weirdness this was, dude. And that is Gwendolyn right here, or as the other cover suggests, Gwendolyn, or actually the perils of Gwendolyn in the land of the Yik Yak. Yes, indeed, quite the title. I think I'll just stick with calling it Gwendolyn, guys. And let me just say about this movie right now, because I was interested in this movie when Severin announced it because of Tawny Katane. I thought to myself, okay, Tawny, I really do like Tawny Katane. I mean, let's be honest, guys. I mean, all of us guys who were from the 80s or early 90s, the White Snake video, her humping the car. Okay, I think we can all agree that was a seminal moment in a lot of people's childhoods. But outside of that, I've really liked her in a lot of stuff. I really liked her in Bachelor Party. I thought she was really cool in that. And she's done a lot of other interesting smaller roles that I've liked her in. I thought she's been decent in a lot of stuff, but I had never heard of Gwendolyn before. And so I thought, why not give it a chance? It's Tawny. I'll give Tawny a chance. And this movie is one weird ride, dude. Basically, it's about this woman who travels to this foreign land in search of her father. Her father has gone missing. He's been looking for this rare butterfly, and she wants to go in search of him, and just all of the adventures and the perils that she ends up going through trying to find her father. And she meets up with this sort of rogue bad boy, and she goes on adventures with him, and it's just all of the ridiculous B movie sort of weird cheese. At times it sort of reminded me of Barbarella. At other times it reminded me of a ripoff of Indiana Jones. Like this is a combination of so many different type of movies and genres, and it was really fascinating, and it was weird, and it was interesting, and it was very sexual, and people are getting naked and showing their bare breasts out of nowhere. These women are like wanting to have sex, just for the sake of having sex. Weird fight choreography, just all craziness and madness. I don't really know how much to describe this movie other to say it's a mishmash of sci-fi, fantasy, action, adventure, you know, mixed with a little bit of porno tendencies. It's just, oh my god, man, this movie is so crazy and whacked out, dude. I mean, there's a whole sequence here. There's a whole sequence where they go into the jungle and they meet this civilization of all female warriors. And the female warriors end up finding a male counterpart just to have sex with him, and then they kill him afterwards. And there's this whole fight to the death of who's gonna have sex with him, and this female society sort of picks their victims. And I'm like, we went from We went from an adventure movie to a porno to a sci-fi fantasy Barbarella thing. I'm like, huh? Like, I'm like, where did this come from, dude? This movie is sort of all crazy and whacked out, dude. But for some reason, I think it works, and I think Tawny does a really great job as this sort of clueless girl on this adventure. I think a lot of people really go out of their way to do some really weird things in this movie. Even the main male actor talks about, having to get naked and how he didn't want to get naked and how they put a merkin on him, which is basically sort of a female sort of genitalia thing in order to sort of not see it in a movie. But the merkin actually covered his dick, and so his dick looks really tiny in the movie because he has his merkin on, and now he's like, well, I probably shouldn't have put that merkin on. And I'm like, what wild shit went on in this movie, dude? It's crazy ridiculous, dude, but I never heard of it, and I'm kind of glad I checked it out, man. You have so much stuff here, man. Uh, you have an audio commentary from the director, an audio commentary with Tawny and the main male actor Brent Huff, which, by the way, these guys are having a ball talking about the movie. They're not taking this movie seriously at all, man. It's craziness. The Butterfly Effect, a interview with the director, more interviews with other costume designers and set designers, executive producer interviews, Blu-ray promos, and much, much more, dude. Wow, this movie is all kinds of ridiculousness and craziness, and I've come to expect weird shit from Severin, man, and this is one of that weird shit. I can't really describe this movie all that much. It's just an experience. You have to watch it, and when you do, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" That's Gwendolyn, man. Craziness, but if you're a fan of Tawny and want to give Tawny a chance, do it. It's not bad. Just a lot of weirdness. Gwendolyn. And last, but certainly not least, the last Blu-ray pickup that I got for November, and that is Rock and Roll High School right here, guys. The steelbook of Rock and Roll High School. I love this artwork, man. Reminds me so much of like something like Animal House or something. Really, really great steelbook, dude. Really awesome. On the back, Toger sucks. Yeah, very nice there. And on the inside, guys, this right there, not bad at all, man. Not bad one bit. And I just want to give some great love to Rock and Roll High School, man, because it's a really great teen, high school, rebellion, sort of musical type of movie, man. Nowadays, you get stuff like High School Musical. Forget that crap, man. Rock and Roll High School is where it's at. And, it's a great sort of ode to old school punk music as well. I mean, basically, it's about this young girl, I should say, played by PJ Souls, who basically has this very strict principle that she's trying to rebel against, and she's doing it by listening to the Ramones and sort of upending her at every turn she can do because she's a teenager. She wants to rebel. Hey, that's what teenagers do. And it's just a great, fun movie, man. PJ Souls is a blast in this movie. The Ramones are great in this film, dude. The Ramones are classic. Oh, I miss the Ramones, dude. I don't know about you guys, but the Ramones are like absolutely punk royalty, punk classic. And they just had such great infectious music and a great sort of punk attitude and a rebellious attitude, but yet fun at the same time. And I love them in this movie. I just think it's a really great movie of just sort of teens being teens and being sort of fun punks and rebelling against the system. And I really like these type of movies, man. And as I've been saying with some of these titles this month, you just can't make this movie anymore, dude. You can't, dude. I mean, I'm not a music enthusiast by any means, but I think punk is a little bit watered down now compared to what it was. I think some of these teenage movies are watered down compared to what they were. And, I miss the days of Rock and Roll High School and stuff like that, where it was just really cool, man. It was cool to be a teen. It was cool to end up, watching these type of movies and putting yourself in this situation. And we just don't get these movies like we used to, man. Not anymore, dude. And it's a real damn shame. I love Rock and Roll High School so much, dude. It's such a really, really great, fun movie. And I'm just so glad to finally have it in the collection. I really honestly do, dude. This comes with, of course, some theatrical trailers, some interviews, audio commentaries, some really cool stuff. It's the 40th anniversary edition. 40 years, dude. Oh my god, dude. And it's still just as fun as it was probably when it came out those many, many years ago. I really do love Rock and Roll High School. And if you guys have not watched this movie and are a fan of punk music, the Ramones, PJ Souls, who, by the way, I have met PJ Souls numerous amounts of times at horror conventions, and she is a joy. She is one of the best people I've ever had a chance to talk to. I love her so much, and if I ever get a chance to see her again, guess what she'll be signing? Oh yeah, so I cannot wait hopefully to meet her again in the future. And this is just a really fun movie, guys, to check out, dude. Definitely do it, man. A lot of really great pickups this month, and this is the topper for sure, man. Rock and Roll High School. Alright, everybody. That'll do it for the Blu-ray pickup video for November. And oh my god, guys. November was very good to me. Not gonna lie, November was very good indeed, man. A lot of really great pickups for the month. I hope you guys picked up a lot of really great stuff for November. There was a lot of really great sales that came out that was happening in November. So a lot of you guys I know took a big advantage of what November had to offer. So definitely let me know what you guys got. And now we are on to December. And I don't want to give away December, okay? I don't want to do it, but I'll give you guys a hint. I've got Scream Factory, I've got Vinegar Syndrome, I've got Arrow, I've got Severin, I've got limited editions, I've got collector's editions, I've got retro titles, I've got new releases, I've got horror, I've got Euro sleaze, I've got straight to video. Oh my god. So much crazy goodness, man. I have a huge haul for December. Some of them were pre-orders that I got from November that finally got to my doorstep in December. Others was just a jam-packed month of another amount of crazy sales that I took advantage of. December's going to be a lot of really great titles, man. Oh my god. I don't want to give it away, but there's so much really cool stuff, man. A lot of really great B-movie cheese and some indie titles. You guys know what I get, man. I get some really crazy wild stuff, and December is going to be great, dude. So definitely stay tuned to that. It's going to be coming out very, very soon, guys. I think you guys are going to love what I got. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Check out the other Blu-ray pickup videos that I have posted. Check out the Blu-ray DVD Tuesday videos that I do every single week. The theatrical movie reviews I do with my friends. Movie hunting and much more videos that are on the channel. If you're a lover of movies and physical media, hit subscribe and become a part of the Film Fan Nation. Guys, I want to thank you, man. I really honestly do. You guys are really some of the best subscribers out there. You really pump me up with your comments and the fact that you're really going out of your way in your daily life to watch the videos and enjoy what I have to say and enjoy how I talk about movies. So I really do appreciate the love, and I hope I give the love right back to you guys equally or even more so. So thank you so much. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you love how I talk about movies and you love the videos, definitely hit subscribe. And make sure to keep up to date with everything I'm doing through Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. FilmFan108. Keep up to date with everything I'm doing, plus special pictures and videos I put on time to time through social media. Alright guys, I will see you back next time for a brand new Blu-ray pickup video. The end of 2019 will be a very plentiful one, and you'll definitely want to stay tuned. In the meantime, guys, hope you guys are enjoying your pickups. I'll see you next time. Happy hunting.